So let us start the class number 23 under the cardiovascular system, and this is coming under the theory class. So let us start the cardiac glycoside. In this we are going to discuss about the myocardial stimulants. Regarding the meaning of myocardial stimulants is concerned, it means the drug which increase the efficiency of heart, particularly the contraction of heart, are called myocardial stimulants. And therefore, as a result, when there is increase in efficiency as well as improvement in cardiac muscle, that is called myocardium contraction, it will improve the blood flow, and therefore the most of the tissue of the body will get the enough blood. And if you want to define the cardiac tonic drugs, the same like the myocardial stimulant, it increase the force of contraction of the heart muscle, that called myocardium, and this is also known as positive inotropic. So what the positive inotropic means? The drug which increase the force of contraction of the heart muscle myocardium is called positive inotropic effect. This effect is called positive inotropic effect. So if the force of the myocardium get enhanced, get increased, as a resultant the cardiac output increases. Means the blood that is coming out from the left ventricle, the blood amount is increased, and the drug that are coming under the cardiac glycoside which will produce this type of effect are digoxin, digitoxin, and the both are isolated from a plant. We call it the Digitalis purpurea. So cardiac glycoside, also called digitalis, also called heart stimulant. So name itself is telling all the detail. The glycoside which have the effect on the heart is called cardiac glycoside, and because the name of the genus of the plant from which the glycoside obtained is digitalis, and therefore cardiac glycoside is also called digitalis. And because they are increasing the force of contraction of the heart, they are called heart stimulant. So let us start something more about the cardiac glycoside, that we already discussed about positive inotropic effect, about increase of myocardial contraction. So the problem with this digitalis is that no doubt the force of contraction by cardiac glycoside get increased simultaneously. From the left ventricle the volume of blood get increased, but the level of oxygen demand is not as par with the force of contraction. So without increasing the proportional oxygen demand of heart or myocardium, the drug have the positive inotropic, whereas it decreases the heart rate, it increases the myocardial contraction, called positive inotropic, and this is also called, it increases the heart tone, as well as it decreases the heart rate. So we call it the negative heart rate or negative chronotropic effect. So it will give the positive inotropic, whereas the negative chronotropic effect means it will decrease the heart rate. And this decrease of heart rate by the cardiac glycoside is fulfilled via the stimulation of vagus nerve present at the SA node and AV node. So because of the stimulation of the vagus stimulation present at the SA and AV node, it decreases the heart rate, and therefore the left ventricle get enough time to relax and fill the blood, and thereafter it will contract because of increase of force of contraction. So because of the increase of the volume of the blood, it will fulfill the requirement of the blood to all the body tissues. So as we already mentioned, through the vagus nerve stimulation by the cardiac glycoside decreases the heart rate, and this is through release of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which will slow down the conduction of AB and SA node, and which leads to decrease in heart rate. That is called the negative chronotropic effect. So you can say the two very important and interesting points: the cardiac glycoside is positive inotropic, negative chronotropic, increase force of contraction, decrease the heart rate. So this is about the cardiac glycoside. The problem with the cardiac glycoside drug is that they possess low safety of margin because of the narrow therapeutic window, which is about 0.5 to 0.9 nanogram per ml. So what it means, the narrow safety of margin, low safety of margin, low therapeutic window means if the concentration of drug in blood fall below 0.5 nanogram per ml, below which there is no therapeutic effect, and if the drug will above 0.9 nanogram per ml of the blood, then it will show the toxic effect. So that is why the drug is called low safety of margin as well as possess narrow therapeutic window. And for this, to check this, we have to administer the potassium as a treatment, which will inhibit the binding of cardiac glycoside to the sarcolamal enzyme sodium ion potassium ion ATPase. So what are the plant? As we have mentioned, the genus called Digitalis, and which is about 20 species from this genus have the active constituent possess its effect on the heart are called cardiac glycoside, and there are various plants, and one of them, or as a whole you can say, they are called foxgloves. So as we have mentioned, the glycoside have the effect on the heart, it's called cardiac glycoside, and as we know, glycoside is made up of two moiety, the sugar moiety, or we call it glycone moiety, or non-sugar moiety, that we call aglycone moiety or guanine moiety or non-sugar moiety. The non-sugar moiety, aglycone moiety or guanine moiety, are actually having the pharmacological activity of the drug, whereas the sugar moiety or glycol moiety is responsible for the solubility as well as the cell membrane permeability of a glycone part of glycoside, cardiac glycoside. So this is about the cardiac glycoside. So as we have mentioned, the genus Digitalis, from which we are isolating the glycoside possessing the cardiac activity. So the plants are Digitalis lantana that are isolated from leaf. The glycoside, cardiac glycoside from this Digitalis lantana are digitoxin, G-toxin, digoxin. Whereas from the Digitalis purpurea, that sometimes also called foxglove, from the leaf part of this Digitalis purpurea, the cardiac glycoside has been isolated are digitoxin, G-toxin, Gitalin. The next plant is not from the genus, not from the Digitalis, is Strophanthus gratus. From the seed part of this plant, cardiac glycoside are, the name is quite common with the genus Strophanthus. So name of the cardiac glycoside is strophanthine, and for the gratus is G. So strophanthine G, also known as aubane. And the last one is Ergenia maritime. From this Ergenia maritime, the bulk part from which the cardiac glycoside has been isolated is called Procyllardine A. So this is all about the plant from which the cardiac glycoside have been isolated. There are many, there are various other plants also, but we are not going to discuss much more. So now we have to go through the myocardial stimulant. So it is, a name is telling the drug which have the positive inotropic effect, means the drug which increase the force of contraction of the myocardium, and therefore it increase the cardiac output, is called positive inotropic effect, and drug that do it, we are calling it the myocardial stimulant. So we already mentioned it will increase the volume of the blood, because heart rate get decreased, and because of decrease of heart rate, the ventricle will get the sufficient time to fill the blood, and therefore the blood is now increased, the blood volume get increased, and therefore the cardiac output also get increased. So this is the myocardial stimulant. And where we have to use this type of drug? To treat the patient like congestive heart failure. When we use this cardiac stimulant, give the proper sufficient amount of blood to fulfill the requirement of the tissue. Now we have to classify particularly the cardiac stimulant or myocardial stimulant. In this cardiac stimulant or myocardial stimulant, under the classification, the groups are cardiac glycoside is coming, and the example are under the cardiac glycoside that we already mentioned, digitoxin, digoxin, aubane. Whereas one enzyme, phosphodiesterase enzyme, and the enzyme is inhibited by drug, we call it phosphodiesterase inhibitor. They are also act as a cardiac stimulant. The function of phosphodiesterase, we symbolically represent phosphodiesterase PD. So the function of phosphodiesterase to destroy the effect of cyclic MP by degenerating it. So cyclic MP is get destroyed by the enzyme phosphodiesterase. So those drugs which inhibit this enzyme and once the enzyme get destroyed or inhibited, then cyclic AMP is not going to be break down. So cyclic AMP function will persist for longer time interval, and they will act as a cardiac stimulant. And regarding the beta adrenergic agonist is concerned, as we know, beta adrenergic agonist is itself is a cardiac stimulant. Under this, the agent are epinephrine, isoprenaline, dobutamine, dopamine. Under the phosphodiesterase inhibitor, the example are aminophylline, theophylline, etamiphylline. And the last one is the miscellaneous agent. So as we know about the calcium, so calcium is itself is going to contract the myocardium, and also glucagon. So actually here we are concerned mainly to discuss about the cardiac glycoside, its mechanism of action, how this will work, and also we are going to discuss about the dosage under the digitylation, and we also going to discuss about its toxic effect. So because this is not much explored in the animal treatment, particularly we are mainly concerned to the small animal dog, so therefore you will not get everything about this cardiac glycoside like in human being. So under the cardiac glycoside, example are digoxin, digitoxin, aubane. So we let us proceed. So under the cardiac glycoside, the example are digoxin, digitoxin, aubane. So when we are using the cardiac glycoside, as we already mentioned about this drug, have the positive inotropic effect, also increase the cardiac output, as well as it decreases the venous pressure and also relief from the edema, particularly concerned to the cardiac. So cardiac edema, that will going to be reduced by this. So this is about the cardiac glycoside effect. We already discussed about the inotropic effect, positive inotropic effect. We already discussed about the it increase the cardiac output. Now we have to go through the detail of the cardiac glycoside. So these are the things that we have already discussed. Cardiac glycoside is going to increase the action of heart. How? The cardiac glycoside is going to increase the force of contraction of myocardium. So this will called positive inotropic effect, whereas the same cardiac glycoside also decreases the heart rate, that is called negative chronotropic effect. So positive inotropic effect, that means increases force of myocardial contraction, decreases heart rate, that is the negative chronotropic effect. So positive inotropic and negative chronotropic effect. So this is about the cardiac glycoside. And what are the conditions in which we are going to use this cardiac glycoside? Congestive heart failure, atrial fibrillation, flutter, paroxysmal atrial tachycardia, cardiogenic shock. So particularly the congestive heart failure, we are going to use the cardiac glycoside. Regarding the toxic effect of the cardiac glycoside is concerned, as we already mentioned, the cardiac glycoside poses narrow safety of margin because of the narrow therapeutic window, and if the toxicity occur because of the cardiac glycoside, so on the basis of symptom we should know the toxicity of the cardiac glycoside occur. So what are the symptoms that we will find in cardiac glycoside toxicity are loss of appetite, anorexia, that is also vomition, diarrhea, abdominal pain, headache, muscle weakness, confusion, drowsiness, irritability, visual disturbances, bradycardia or tachycardia both. And so these are the toxic signs we will get because of the cardiac glycoside. Now we have to discuss about the cardiac glycoside mechanism of action. So this is very, very important. And we are going to discuss about the pharmacodynamic or mechanism of action of the cardiac glycoside, how this cardiac glycoside are going to act to increase the force of contraction of the heart muscle, that is called myocardium, that is called positive inotropic effect. So if you see the heart cell, so this is the structural figure of the heart cell. So this way we are going to explain the mechanism of action of the heart cell. So when the heart get depolarized, so how the depolarization of the heart cell occur? So therefore it will lead to the contraction of the heart muscle, that is the myocardium. So mainly the two ion, the sodium ion and the calcium ion, both get entered inside the cell, and when the sodium ion through the sodium channel and calcium ion through the L-type calcium channel enter into the cytoplasm of the heart muscle cell, it will lead to slight raise of calcium ion inside the cytoplasm. So once the calcium ion get increased in this cytoplasm, increased level of calcium stimulate the ryanodine receptor RYR2 to release the more further amount of calcium inside the cytoplasm. By stimulating this ryanodine receptor, with intracellular raised calcium level, and therefore it will further raise the calcium level in the cytoplasm, and that calcium level comes from sarcoplasmic reticulum through the rhydodine receptor, and therefore once the calcium level get increased inside the cytoplasm, this cytoplasm raised intracellular calcium level is going to stimulate or combine with the troponin C, and this troponin C, with the help of actin and myosin of the cardiac muscle cell, leads to the contraction of the heart, and therefore it increases the force of contraction of the myocardium. And this electrochemical gradient of the different ion is going to be balanced. So how this calcium and sodium ion get balanced? I mean, initially we have seen sodium ion get entered and calcium ion also get entered inside the cell within the cytoplasm. So therefore the sodium level and calcium level both get raised inside the cytoplasm. So these two ions are also have to be removed out through the membrane of the cell of the heart muscle cell. We call it sarcolemmal membrane. So how this will remove out? So the sodium is going to be removed out from the cytoplasm through an enzyme. We call it the sodium ion potassium ion ATPase. So through this enzyme that present in the sarcolemmal membrane is going to remove the 3 ion of the sodium from the cytoplasm to the outside, and 2 potassium ion is moving inside. So therefore by this means sodium electrochemical gradient is maintained between both the environment, I mean outside and inside, by this sodium potassium ATPase enzyme. Simultaneously calcium is also going to be removed, that came while going through depolarization. So calcium level from the cytoplasm also removed through the exchanger. We call it sodium ion calcium ion exchanger. So this sodium ion calcium ion exchanger name itself is telling the calcium is also removing from the cytoplasm to outside by the sodium and calcium exchanger. So therefore 1 molecule of calcium is moving out from the cytoplasm to outside, whereas this will carry the 3 ion sodium ion from the outside to inside. So therefore this is called sodium ion calcium ion exchanger. So by this means the level of ion, the sodium as well as the calcium ion, is maintained, and there are also various pathways through which these ion is going to maintain, that we are not going to discuss in much detail, which will take much more time. So how this cardiac glycoside? So as we know, as we already mentioned, when the calcium level get raised inside the cytoplasm, which will going to combine with the troponin C, which will also going to react, finally give rise to reaction of the actin and myosin, and therefore the heart muscle cell, that is the myocardium, is going to contract. And we also have seen how the sodium ion and calcium ion is going to move outside. Not only this calcium ion is moving outside out by this sodium and sodium calcium exchanger, but also through the SERCA2 pathway. So what is this SERCA2 pathway? This is also going to responsible to decrease the intracellular calcium level from the cytoplasm, and that calcium ion is going to move from cytoplasm, and that will go to stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum by SERCA. So what is this SERCA? SERCA is the calcium. This one SERCA is called calcium ion ATPase enzyme. So through this calcium ion ATPase enzyme, that we call it the SERCA2, through which the high level of high concentration of intracellular calcium within the cytoplasm will be removed and which will get stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and therefore the calcium level get decreased in the cytoplasm, and therefore which finally inhibit the contraction of the heart muscle. So how this cardiac glycoside is going to produce the contraction of the heart muscle, that we are going to discuss. So you are going to see it properly. So the drug cardiac glycoside, so this through the triangle, this is represented the cardiac glycoside. So cardiac glycoside drug like digitoxin, digitaline, Auben, any one of these, when we are going to administer it in the patient, is going to bind with the enzyme sodium ion, potassium ion, ATPase, and inhibit the function of this enzyme. So therefore cardiac glycoside is called enzyme inhibitor present on the sarcolemmal membrane called sodium ion, potassium ion, ATPase, and that is in roughly we are also calling it the sodium pump. So cardiac glycoside is an inhibitor of enzyme present on the sarcolemma or the cell membrane of the heart muscle. We call it the sodium ion, potassium ion, ATPase. So this is inhibitor. So how this is going to increase the force of contraction, that we are going to discuss. So in nutshell, the cardiac glycoside are enzyme inhibitor. What is the name of enzyme? Sodium ion, potassium ion, ATPase. So this will inhibit the enzyme, and therefore as a resultant the force of contraction of the myocardium get increased. So now we have to see how this force of contraction of the myocardium get increased, or how this will produces the positive inotropic effect, that we are going to see. So here when this enzyme get inhibited, the sodium ion is not extrude out from the cytoplasm. Sodium ion will not be expelled out from the cytoplasm of the cell of the heart. So what will happen? The sodium ion will increase in the cytoplasm of the cell, heart cell. So what will happen when the sodium level get in? So with the sodium ion level get increased in the inside the cytoplasm, then as we know, sodium ion calcium ion exchanger is also get inhibited, because when the sodium ion is not sufficiently move out to the outer, then the electrochemical gradient is not maintained, means the sodium ion quantity is not sufficient outside the cell. So if the sodium ion is not sufficient outside, then the sodium ion, how this will enter inside the cell? So therefore sodium calcium exchanger get also inhibited because of the inhibition of the this sodium ion, potassium ion, ATPase enzyme. And therefore when this sodium ion calcium ion exchanger get inhibited, the calcium ion from the inside the cytoplasm not will extrude out, not will move out outside. So calcium level inside the cytoplasm get increased. So when the calcium level inside the cell get in cytoplasm get increased, then this calcium level again stimulate the ryanodine receptor to further release the calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So sarcoplasmic reticulum releases the calcium level, which further enhances the calcium level inside the cytoplasm, and therefore as a resultant the increased cytoplasmic level of the calcium inside the cell is going to combine with the troponin C. Then the actin and myosin reaction occur, and therefore it finally leads to the contraction of the heart muscle, and therefore it increases the force of contraction of the heart muscle. So this way this cardiac glycoside act. So this is all about the cardiac glycoside. Now we are going to discuss about the phosphodiesterase, how this phosphodiesterase inhibitor enzyme is acting. Here we are seeing, as we know, the phosphodiesterase is going to destroy the cyclic AMP, and this cyclic AMP, if inhibited by the phosphodiesterase enzyme, so therefore what will happen? The cyclic AMP is not going to be destroyed. So when the cyclic AMP is not going to be destroyed, then what will happen? The cyclic AMP is going to combine with the protein kinase A. So this pKa is the protein kinase A. So protein kinase A get stimulated by cyclic AMP, and therefore the calcium level is going to be increased inside the cytoplasm when it is coming through the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and therefore the calcium level get raised inside the cytoplasm, which will responsible to increase the force of contraction. So here on the L-type calcium channel also protein kinase is present, pKa is present. So this is called cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase. So this is also stimulated by the cyclic AMP. So L-type calcium channel get open, so therefore it leads to increase the intracellular level of calcium. So in nutshell, when we are talking about the phosphodiesterase enzyme inhibitor, they are going to inhibit the degeneration of cyclic AMP, and cyclic AMP is going to act on the protein kinase A, and in a net as a resultant, the calcium level inside the cytoplasm get increased, and which is finally responsible to increase the force of contraction of the myocardium. So this way I have mentioned about the mechanism of action of the two drugs, but here we are mainly concerned to the one, that is the cardiac glycoside. So cardiac glycoside, again I am going to repeat the same thing, is going to inhibit the enzyme sodium ion potassium ion ATPase enzyme, that is the sarcolemmal enzyme, and because of inhibition of this enzyme, the sodium calcium exchanger also get inhibited, and therefore inside the cytoplasm of the cell, cardiac cell, calcium level get increased, and therefore increased calcium level is further going to influence the ryanodine receptor to further release the calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and therefore finally it will enhance the high level of high concentration of calcium inside the cytoplasm, and therefore through troponin C, actin, myosin, finally lead to the force of contraction of the myocardium or positive inotropic effect. So this is all about the cardiac glycoside mechanism of action or pharmacodynamic of the cardiac glycoside. Now we have to so this is here in detail, this is written in detail. So as we have mentioned about this sodium calcium ion exchanger, so this is all about in write-up form, that what I have mentioned, that is written here. So the pharmacological effect of cardiac glycoside that we already mentioned, this is the negative chronotropic effect, it decreases the heart rate. And how this is going to decrease the heart rate? By stimulating the vagus nerve, and because of the stimulation of vagus nerve through acetylcholine neurotransmitter release, decreases the heart rate, whereas through inhibition of the enzyme sodium ion potassium ion ATPase, it increases the cardiac tone, that is called positive inotropic effect, by increasing the force of myocardium. It also increases the conductivity of the heart, also increases the automaticity, also increases the cardiac output, but the heart size get markedly reduced, and it also leads to the passing out of urine, that we call it the diuresis, and that diuresis is particularly concerned to the edema due to the heart disease. So this is all about the cardiac glycoside. Now where we have to use cardiac glycoside, what are the conditions that we already mentioned? Again I am going to repeat, we are going to use the cardiac glycoside in the condition like the congestive heart failure. Also we are going to use in the edema of the cardiac origin, that we already mentioned that cardiac glycoside is going to produce diuresis. So edema is going to be reduced if the edema is of origin cardiac. Then also we are going to use in the cardiac asthma, atrial fibrillation, atrial flutter, and as we also mentioned, this cardiac glycoside is particularly for the animal, used for the dog, and also we have to use it in the horse and cattle. So now we are going to discuss about the digitylation. So what is digitylation? Digitylation is simply the administration of the cardiac glycoside, particularly the loading dose of the cardiac glycoside is called digitylation, or administration of the cardiac glycoside is called digitylation. So where we have to use this cardiac glycoside? In the condition like the congestive heart failure. To treat the congestive heart failure patient, we have to use the cardiac glycoside. So we are going to divide the dose to treat the patient of congestive heart failure. So first dose, initial dose, is a larger dose, and we call it the loading dose or digitylation dose, or initial large dose, and which is usually non-toxic, followed by the maintenance dose. And maintenance dose should always be small and divided in nature, so that it will not produce the toxic effect. And we have to go for the treatment for 2 to 3 days. So how we have to use digitalis, I mean the cardiac glycoside. So cardiac glycoside we have to administer in the congestive heart failure patient. If the patient of the mild congestive heart failure, then we have to go through the slow digitylation. So digitylation is the 3 types based upon its use in the condition of the congestive heart failure. That is slow digitylation. We have to treat the patient of the mild cases of congestive heart failure. Then if the patient of the congestive heart failure is moderate severe type, then we have to go for the rapid digitylation. And the third one is called intense digitylation. Intense digitylation we have to use in the patient which is very severe case. In emergency of congestive heart failure patient, we have to go to treat the patient by intense digitylation. That means these condition of slow, rapid and intense digitylation is based upon the dose of the drug cardiac glycoside. So first we have to go through the slow digitylation. In slow digitylation, as we have mentioned, use in the mild case of the congestive heart failure, and we have to use the cardiac glycoside. So total dose we have to use for 2 days at 10-hour interval, and the dose is 1/5 of the total dose. This is in case of mild case of congestive heart failure. Whereas in case of moderate or rapid digitylation, that we have to go through the congestive heart failure of moderate severe cases, and in that the glycoside should be administered at 6-hour interval, and the total dose should be divided into 3 parts. And that take the example, if we are considering the total dose is 90 nanogram per ml, 90 nanogram, so we have to divide it into 3 doses, that is 30, 30, 30. So 30 nanogram we have to administer to the patient, and the second dose after the 6-hour interval. So this is about the moderate severe cases. Whereas the last one is the intense digitylation for the patient like congestive heart failure, which is in very severe cases, and in that case the glycoside should be administered in 3 phases. In first phase we are going to administer the cardiac glycoside half of the total calculated dose at one time, single dose. Thereafter we have to go or proceed 6-hourly treatment, and that one is the 1/4 of the dose, and thereafter the final one we have to continue again 4 to 6 hourly interval at 1/8 of the dose. So this is called the intense digitalization. Now we have to see what are the conditions get benefited and in which condition we are going to use this cardiac glycoside, and what are the relief the patient will get. So it will give rise to relief from coughing, relief from respiratory distress, also relief from the edema. It will lead to diuresis. It also leads to reduction in body weight and improve the electrocardiogram of the heart. And regarding the toxicity of the excessive dose of the digitalis of cardiac glycoside that we all earlier mentioned, but again we are going to mention here, it will lead to anorexia, nausea, dyspnea, palpitation, cardiac arrhythmia, and necrosis of myocardium. So this is all about the cardiac glycoside.